Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. We're back in the Roger Stone Show. Joining me now is Michele Fiore. She is a former assemblywoman who represented the parts of northwestern Clark County for 2 terms in the Nevada State Assembly. She's also a former Las Vegas City Council member and now a respected judge. She now joins a very elite club to which both I and former President Richard Nixon are members, because late last week she was granted a full and unconditional presidential pardon because she too was the target of a politically motivated witch hunt and prosecution led by Stephen Meyer, a federal prosecutor in Nevada. And I think the basis of this indictment goes all the way back to the Bundy Ranch controversy. Michele Fiore, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you so much, Rod, for having me on the Stone Show. I'm very honored.
So I followed your case, obviously. I candidly admit to being a full-throated advocate for executive clemency in your case because I read the case, and it stunk of politicization. And it does appear to me to go all the way back to the Bundy Ranch case, where you were a harsh critic of the U.S. Bureau of Land Management. But here's the thing I really don't understand. Among the things you were charged with was collecting money to build a statue of a fallen law enforcement officer. And they claim that you pocketed that money and the statue was never built, yet I have seen videos and still photos of the dedication of the statue. So what gives?
So this is an issue that, Roger, I'm still going to need your help going forth on because, yes, thank God. First of all, thank God that I am a free woman today. And thank President Donald J. Trump for giving me my life back, Roger. Thank you so much for being an advocate. I know you guys are close. I've got to thank my pardon attorney, Christina Wildervelt. She's, just a Jewish woman that shakes trees and wouldn't stop calling and emailing. And, she was just amazing. So, when I think about the prosecution that I've just faced, it does begin with the Bundys and it never ended. Like, you're looking at what I went through, and most people don't know because I just went about my business, staying strong. But you're looking at 4 failed investigations that Stephen Meyer, the number 2. It's a true COINTELPRO style operation where the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS, and select media outlets worked in concert to target and dismantle my life. They had multiple grand juries convened, yet none could produce a bill of indictment for 8 years. They had 2 elite strike teams from Washington, D.C., which were deployed with a clear objective to destroy my name and credibility. And then a federal raid, Roger, that invaded my home, desecrated my sanctuary, looted irreplaceable family heirlooms, and attempted to just crush me. I was labeled a domestic terrorist, not once, but twice, and they labeled me a level 1 the first time and a level 2 the second time on their threat assessments without, Roger, any cause or justification. And then the 66-page affidavit, which is, a public document, a 66-page affidavit used to justify the raid. It was so overreaching and absurd that I just want you to know, a lot of people say, oh, you can indict a bologna ham sandwich. They could have indicted a mouse being hand-fed cheese with this 66 affidavit. So, Roger, it's been a rough road, and I'm finally realizing that I've got my life back thanks to our president, Donald J. Trump. He saw, what has happened. We were very thorough in following all the legal proceedings and making sure that the pardons office had all of this evidence to show as we asked for this pardon. And it was so blatant. And here's the thing, the statue that's standing, the media, when I tell you the media, it's the same story and it's a lie. But what attorney, Roger, what attorney do we know that will go up against the newspapers, the news media, and say, you're lying, and sue them? I don't know of any attorney that has the guts to do it.
The biggest problem, in all honesty, in your case or in my case, is that we're public figures. So people regularly accuse me of being a Russian intelligence asset. I can't sue them. I'm not, of course, not an iota of evidence that that's true, or that they say that I collaborated with WikiLeaks. Really? The federal government never produced any evidence to that extent. In fact, in my case, when my lawyers asked for Robert Mueller's entire unredacted final report, in which all the sections about me were blacked out, the judge said that she would review the report in her chambers and give my defense attorneys the sections that were relevant to me. She neglected to give them the section in which even Robert Mueller could not sugarcoat the fact that he had found his words, factual barriers to my prosecution, based on the fact that there was no evidence of Russian collusion, no evidence of WikiLeaks collaboration. In fact, in his own words, he couldn't find any crime. So they cooked one up, which is what they appear to have done in your case. Michele, how long do you think you were under federal surveillance?
An easy 8 years, because here's the thing, Roger. I have the 90,000 pages of discovery, which is still sealed because they are basically sealing their crimes. And they had digital and physical surveillance on me, over 57 agents for over 8 years. They've spent millions upon millions of dollars to find something that they could falsely accuse me of and then lie to a jury. It was just, it's just so gross.
Believe me, I fully understand what you're talking about. My case is also still sealed. I can only talk about those portions of it that have been made public, such as the release of Robert Mueller's report. When did they release it? At midnight on November 3rd of 2020, the busiest media day of the year, to ensure that no one saw it. By the way, no coverage of that incredible exonerating document by the Washington Post or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the Associated Press. It was covered by Zero Hedge. It was covered by the Gateway Pundit. It was covered, of course, in the Stone Zone, stonezone.com. But I recall, I think it was Ray Donovan, Secretary of Labor in the Reagan administration, wrongly accused of misconduct, but ultimately exonerated, who famously said, where do you go to get your good name back? And the answer, quite sadly, is nowhere. Also, looking at Stephen Meyer, this guy's had his own problems. I mean, in 2018, the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, concluded that he, along with the former U.S. Attorney Greg Bauer, subjected a female prosecutor to sexual discrimination and retaliation. The female prosecutor complained about sexist remarks made by her white-collar supervisor, and the U.S. attorney displayed a hostile attitude towards her. This guy's no angel. And then he was cited for prosecutorial misconduct in the Bundy case itself. This, I think, is where we first met, because just looking at it from the outside, it was clear to me that Cliven Bundy, who the Fed said hadn't paid his rental fees, paid the state rather than the feds, because that's who he believed the land belonged to. But if you read the newspaper stories, it acted like he'd paid no one. But the violent attack on his ranch goes, I think, in the annals of history as one of the great acts of overreach by the federal government. I think that their hatred of you dates back to your standing up for the Bundys and standing up for the Constitution, standing up to their rights. And then it is exacerbated by the fact that in Nevada, you were among the earliest and most outspoken supporters of President Donald Trump back when other establishment Republicans believed that he had no chance to become president. That is the fastest way to get a target put on your back.
Oh, yes.
So
yep.
My next question is a simple one. Now, you are still on the bench, correct?
Yes, I'm still on the bench. However, the Judicial Discipline Commission has to resend the suspension, and even though they have this sealed pardon that's a full pardon and unconditional, they want to go a next step and let the judge sign off on it first. So it's amazing to me that the games these people play, and again, let them play them. I'm a elected judge. I'm going back on my bench, whether it would be next week or the week after, but I'm going back on my bench, and that's it.
Well, let me say this, because you probably haven't thought about it much, but I've had this experience a little bit longer. Trust me, sister, you have just been empowered. People will recognize that they did you wrong. They also recognize that this was political. God forbid for your enemies that you choose to run for elective office again, because if you do, you will win. I've got a lot of friends in the Nevada Republican Party, but let's be honest, they could use some better candidates out there.
So I have to just be crystal clear, Roger. As a judge, my future will be a judge, whether it be my justice of the peace here in Pahrump or eventually a federal judge after I finish law school and take the bar. But I do not want to run for anything anymore, because let me tell you something. Besides the COINTELPRO with the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS, and the media, there was a fifth agency too. I read an article yesterday in the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and they had a retired Metro police officer who had nothing good to say, calling me a grifter. But he said he's a retired Metro, and he collaborated with an investigation on me. So it's just, again, so there's 5 agencies. It's 100% COINTELPRO. Nevada is truly a good old boy state, and I just don't want to be part of it. I love being a judge. I love helping people get their life back on track, and I love the nonpartisan of it, but you'll always have partisan politics when it comes to personalities such as mine, or especially Trump's. I mean, even though I'm a judge now, I do have a history of being a firebrand in the GOP, but Trump, President Donald J. Trump, again, gave me my life back. So I cannot say enough about that man.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Judge Michele Fiore, newly pardoned by President Donald Trump. And whatever you do, don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back with a bit more of Michele Fiore.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit. Music on. Hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel or that white chocolate mocha. Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an gestural implant. 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay. TTYL.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back. We're talking with former Nevada Assemblywoman, former Las Vegas City Councilwoman, now a judge, but one of President Donald Trump's early supporters in the Silver State, Michele Fiore, who only last week received a full and unconditional pardon because she was charged in a political witch hunt in which the federal government spent multi-millions of dollars and as long as, I think, 8 years to try to cook up some charges against her. And the absolute epitome of a weaponized judicial case. I've worked in 38 states. I must tell you, in a 50-year career in American politics, I think Nevada is the single most corrupt state in the country. I hate to say it, but it's a one-party state. It is the establishment party. And particularly complicit, I think, is the Nevada media. I read a lot of stories about your case. I saw a lot of things in those stories that I knew to be materially incorrect, but I couldn't find any balance. I couldn't find anybody who was willing to dig in and write the other side of the story. I had to encourage a bunch of alternative journalists to go do that because I felt you were being so fairly uncharacterized. Not that long ago, I flew out there to speak to the Clark County Republican Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln Douglas dinner. It was a great crowd. I had a great time, despite the fact that I missed my flight and had to connect through Atlanta and that the airline lost my bags, and it was still worth the trip. But I spoke after Governor Joe Lombardo. Let's just say that he's not exactly a barn burner when it comes to oratory. And he never once in his remarks mentioned the most popular Republican president in modern times. And on the one hand, he says he's opposed to Las Vegas being a sanctuary city or Nevada being a sanctuary state, yet I know definitively that he's urged the 17 sheriffs in the state not to cooperate with Tom Homan and ICE in the deportation of illegals. He remains an enigma to me. The entire situation in Nevada is perplexing to me. Here's what bothers me the most. In 1960, it was thought on election night that Vice President Richard Nixon had carried Hawaii. Supporters of John F. Kennedy and his campaign filed an alternative slate of electors because they insisted that once all of the absentee ballots were counted, that JFK would have carried Hawaii. The Nixon electors were certified. However, they were right. When the absentee ballots were counted, JFK had prevailed, and his alternative electors were seated. There is no such thing as a fake elector. There have been alternative electors in the 1960 election and the election of 1877, but there are 6 individuals in Nevada still facing criminal charges because they stood by, prepared to be electors if the outcome of the vote in Nevada had been successfully, legally challenged. The minutes of their meeting reflect that, yet they still face criminal charges for which Governor Lombardo could pardon them and put this sordid story behind us, but that doesn't happen. Michele, if you're not able to comment on any of this, I understand it, but speaking for myself, I find that really objectionable.
So I totally understand what you're saying, but I can talk about my case and what's out in the public on my case, through motions and stuff like that. On that particular case, I can't have an opinion on it.
That's okay. I told you what I think, and it really it rankles me. I find it very hard to understand. This is an absurd argument. The whole notion of a fake elector. And by the way, I was not involved in any way in the efforts to delay the certification of the Electoral College. Reports that I was in a war room at the Willard Hotel, that's a lie. The Washington Post had 3 different sources saying that there was nothing to that. If there was a war room in the Willard Hotel on January 5th and 6th, I was never in it. Any claim that I knew about, participated in, or condoned any illegal action on January 6th is categorically false, and there is no evidence, no email, no text message, no video, no audio, no email, as I say, no witness who can claim otherwise, but you'll find it all over social media. And kind of like you, we're public figures. You can defame us, and we have very little recourse. All right, we have to wrap it up there. Michele Fiore, first of all, I want to congratulate you for getting your life back. Secondarily, I am confident that you will go on and that your greatest days of public service lie ahead. I'm sure you agree with me that we were delighted to see President Donald Trump today tweet that he's bringing Columbus Day back to celebrate our common Italian-American heritage. Michele, my friend, God bless you and Godspeed.
Thank you. I love it, and I wear my hat that you gave me. I love it, that hat.
I gave her a hat that said, "Make America Italian Again." Many thanks. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today on the Roger Stone Show. Until we meet again, God bless you and Godspeed.
I love you, Roger.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.